Hi everyone, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and today I'm going to be teaching you some IELTS speaking part 1 strategy and practice for band 9. Okay, I'm broadcasting to you from Budapest, which is the capital city of Hungary, and I'm Canadian. Hi Kyber, how are you doing? To see students joining in nice and early. As usual, students, our materials do come from our premium courses at gieltshelp.com for general IELTS, and for academic IELTS, check us out at aehelp.com. On both of these websites, we have 6 original practice exams with full audio, as well as a fully interactive course that takes about 60 hours to complete. It's a self-study course. And we have over 100 hours of video lessons with lots of professional recordings. Hi Simran, hi Arjun, hi Bhupinder. Good to see many students coming on board. The websites, they look like this. So this is our general IELTS website. You can click that big red button there to join in. Then you have a My Student account with all the goodies. And for academic IELTS, it looks like this with the blue background. And then you can click that big red button to join us there. All right, students, I've put the schedule for the next 3 weeks up on our channel bulletin board, so you can check it out there. These live classes, I do them Wednesday to Saturday from 13:30 to 14:30 Central European time, because that's where I'm at right now and setting up some offices here. Again, today on the 14th of March, speaking part 1. As I'm speaking today, and you should do this as general practice, repeat what I say, okay? Just copy me, repeat what I say. It's great practice. Remember, these classes are recorded, so you can go back, try them again, repeat, repeat. So lots of repetition, especially when we get into the speaking. Make sure to repeat the questions and the answers, okay? You'll have a chance to do so as well. Tomorrow we'll do some general reading practice, and then on Saturday we'll do some task 1 writing. And then you'll see that we don't have class Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we're back on Wednesday with speaking part 2 and 3. Again, this schedule is up on the bulletin. Okay, so students, the IELTS speaking. Anybody know how long the IELTS speaking interview is, roughly? Anybody have an idea of how long that will take you to complete from start to finish? What's the duration that you have to sweat bullets and nerve-wracking, intense kind of situation? So Prashil says 15 minutes. Rakshita says 15 to 20. Yeah, it used to be kind of the idea of 15 minutes. That is how long it should be. That's what they tell you. But Kyber is saying, yeah, maybe 11 to 14. These days, because of the popularity of the IELTS, it's closer to 12 minutes. That's what most students report. So it's about 12 minutes. Sometimes maybe a little bit longer. But again, IELTS is so popular, it's usually about 12 minutes. Now, 3 things can happen. The speaking interview can be the day before your listening, reading, writing exam. It can be on the same day, and it can be a day later, okay? If you have the chance, it's better to do it the day before or the day after. If you have to do the speaking on the same day as the listening, reading, and the writing, it can be a little bit more difficult to get a high score because you're going to be more exhausted, mentally tired from doing the sit-down exam. So if you have a chance to do the speaking the next day or the day before, you should do that, okay? All right, you're getting ready for your speaking interview, and hopefully you're preparing for IELTS about 3 months before you sit the exam, okay? So in a perfect world, you start to prepare for IELTS about 3 months. Even if you have good English, you should start to prepare for IELTS about 3 months in advance, just so you can really get your maximum band score, okay? So 90 days is enough to improve your vocabulary, your grammar, and your communication skills, okay? If you're preparing like 2 weeks before the IELTS, and this is for the speaking and for the other parts, 2 weeks, you can adjust your communication skills a little bit to get a higher band score, but it's really, really difficult, if not impossible, to learn enough vocabulary and grammar to make a difference in 2 weeks' time, okay? So 90 days is usually what you should think of when you're getting ready for IELTS, okay? So if you know that you need IELTS for immigration and you're planning to move in summer, then you should be definitely studying IELTS now. What should you do to improve your speaking in 90 days? Okay, this is a good question. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit of strategy, then we will get into some part 1 questions and answers. Don't worry, I will do part 1 exercises with you. But before we do that, just some really good information to think about. Okay, and again, you can already practice your speaking by repeating my sentences. So what should you do to improve your speaking 90 days before the IELTS? Okay, just give me some ideas, students. Maybe you'll tell me something new that I never thought about. Maybe you'll help your other fellow students learn some new ideas and tips that they never thought about. So go ahead and share what you think is valuable or useful to think about with speaking when you're getting ready for the IELTS. So it doesn't matter if it's general or specific, so you can give me a general idea like speak as much as possible in English every day. Okay, so that's a general piece of advice. Or you can give me a specific piece of advice like spend 1 hour at home speaking English to family members called the English Hour. Okay, it's really good to do that. Establish a time, for example, between 7 and 8 p.m. Okay, so that's some really good practice. So there's Pachu. Pachu says, speak, speak, speak. Kyber says, do lots of repetition. Absolutely. So watch lots of movies in English and do lots of repetition. Now, of course, all of you are watching this IELTS class presentation, which is great. So this is already a good step towards improving your English. Just make sure, again, that you're repeating what I say. So don't just improve your listening skill, but improve your speaking skill, okay? So Pachu says some family time English hour. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, another one, of course, is record your speaking on your phone. Listen back, correct, and re-record. Okay, so that's some good practice. Okay. Kyber says, what should I do if the actors are speaking very fast? Kyber, that's a great question, okay? Thankfully, technology today allows us to slow down even the audio in many cases. So for example, on YouTube, you have an option at the bottom of the screen where you can play the video and audio faster or slower. So if you're thinking, wow, the actors are just going way too fast, there's two different steps that you can do. One is slow down the picture, the video and the audio. So it's a good question. If it is too fast, slow down the audio. I know you can do this on many devices now these days. Okay, slow down the audio and use subtitles. Okay, subtitles will help you to keep pace. Right, so those are two different steps. So using subtitles and slowing down the actual playback are two ways that you can do that you can catch up if they're speaking too quickly. And of course, don't be shy. Rewind, play it again. Rewind, play it again. Okay? Sevgi says, have pre-prepared responses to cue cards as much as we can. Sevgi, that's okay, but you have to remember that they will always have a new question for you on your cue cards, okay? So practice your cue cards, practice your timing. Absolutely. That's another really important strategy to do 90 days before you sit IELTS. So start doing that 90 days before you sit the IELTS. So practice the actual speaking section of IELTS so you are very familiar and comfortable with the format and timing of this part of the test. Okay, so it's really important that in part 2 in the cue card, you can feel that 1 minute preparation time. You can feel that 2 minute speech or speaking time. Okay, that's really, really important. And of course, another really, really good idea is to find speaking partners. In person or online. To practice your speaking, okay? So to practice your English. Okay, so do that as early as possible. Don't wait until the last minute. Sometimes students wait until just 1 or 2 weeks before the exam to look for a speaking partner. Don't do that. Do it as soon as you know you need the IELTS. So as soon as you need the IELTS, just look for speaking partners. On many of our videos, our speaking videos, on our channel, students are always shouting out for partners. So they'll say, anybody want to practice speaking? Even in these live classes, students will ask for partners. So if you're watching the chat carefully, sometimes students will say, anybody want to create a practice group for speaking? And then through WhatsApp or Skype, you can do that. All right? Okay, good. Let's talk a little bit more on what should you do on the day of your speaking exam. Okay, so what do you need to do on the day of your IELTS speaking exam? Okay, and doing this correctly, so taking the correct steps and paying careful attention on the day of your speaking exam can be the difference of a half to a full band score, okay? So if you got band 6 on your IELTS and you need a band 7, just really paying attention to a couple of key direct and indirect points can help you get that extra band score, okay? Yeah, Pachu, that's right. You can practice speaking on our website or with Cambly. Absolutely. Josh is asking a good question too. Is it possible to push scores to a 7.5 from 6 in 1 month? Joshil, it depends where you make your mistakes. However, honestly speaking, it's very, very difficult to do that. You basically have to live in an English environment. So Joshil, the only way you could do a push from a 6 to a 7.5 in 1 month is if you immersed yourself in an English-speaking country, like you just went to England for 1 month and made sure that you only spoke English and focused on your studies and did writing all day, speaking all day, reading all day, and surrounded yourself with English speakers. That's how you could improve in 1 month from a 6 to a 7.5. Even then, it's difficult. Just being realistic, okay? Your question is, can I go from a fluent user of English to a nearly very good user of English? That's a big jump. Okay, it's a big jump. All right, so Pachu says, go to the exam center about an hour or 45 minutes before your test starts. Yeah, absolutely. So on your day of the speaking exam, first of all, it's the most important, is use English only. Okay, remember this, different parts of the brain are used for different languages. Scientific research shows that if you're talking about birds in Arabic versus talking about birds in English, different parts of your brain at the physical level are being activated. Okay, so just speaking English only on the day of your IELTS exam, your speaking exam, can make a difference of 0.5 band. Okay, if you're committed, you know you've paid that $300, you know it's important. Don't be lazy or don't be ignorant in that last short little 24-hour day. Use English only. Okay, and Pachu's correct. Go to the exam center at least 45 minutes before your scheduled time. Okay? Get comfortable with your surroundings. Okay? If you're comfortable with your surroundings, you're less nervous, you will speak better. You will speak more fluently. All right? It's really important. Kyber says, eat a bit of chocolate, get early sleep. Yeah, absolutely. Those are really important too. Having the right energy, okay? Having good activation of the brain can really help you to perform at a higher level. Just think of athletes, right? A professional runner doesn't just focus on running. They focus on their diet. They focus on their sleep to do the best that they can, okay? So you should do that. Yeah, Tina, you're right. So in that 45 minutes or that 1 hour before, find another student. Take a speaking sheet or two with you that you can practice with another student who is waiting for their interview. So take some speaking questions with you so that you can ask another student to practice who is also waiting for their speaking interview. Okay, good. Get good sleep. Eat good food. A bit of chocolate right before your interview can help to kickstart your thinking. Okay? Again, students, as I'm saying these sentences, make sure you repeat after me. So even these sentences, it's good English. Okay? Notice how I'm using adjective clauses, who is also waiting for their speaking interview. I'm using some nice expressions, kickstart your thinking. Make sure that you're repeating me. Don't just wait for the actual speaking questions. We will do those in a minute. But it's all speaking at the end of the day, okay? So repeat, repeat, repeat. Kickstart, right? Pachu says, be relaxed and be confident. How can I be relaxed and confident? So a lot of students tend to feel quite nervous, which is understandable for the speaking. But you can be more relaxed and confident. One way is what Pachu is saying, is that think of the examiner as your grandfather or your grandmother. They love you, they care for you, they're not going to judge you, and you want to speak clear, loud, complete sentences to grandpa, grandma. Right, so Pachu, that's exactly it. Yeah, Begzod, good to see you in class, agrees with Pachu. So feel confident and relaxed, okay? Different ways to do that. First of all, think of the examiner as your grandpa or grandma, okay? Another way to do that is remember the sun will shine tomorrow. You can't learn English in that moment, so just do your best. On IELTS, you're just a number. Don't think the examiner is making a special case of you. So sometimes students think, for some reason the examiner didn't like me. They spoke really quickly, they looked angry, or the opposite, the examiner really liked me, they were smiling, they were so friendly, I felt like I knew them for many years. They do that with every student, okay? The examiner's attitude that day is the same attitude that the other 15, 20 candidates will see also. You have an IELTS registration number. That number goes onto the marking sheet. That's really who you are, is that number, okay? They're trying to be as objective as possible. All right? Kyber says, don't use the word as you know. Absolutely. Never assume that your examiner knows what you know. There is one more really important tip that I said before, and I know some students watch these classes regularly. So there is one more really good step to take before you go into your speaking interview, about 5 minutes before. What is that? What should you do roughly 5 minutes before you walk into your speaking interview? And yes, of course, you should go to the washroom, so don't say that, okay? Nervousness can make you want to go to the washroom, so yeah, go to the washroom, but not that. That's not what I'm thinking. What am I thinking, students? What should you do 5 minutes before your interview? There's a very smart step, and that can really improve your band score by like 0.5 or even 1 band. What should you do? This is a critical step. A very, very important step to take. 5 minutes to the start of your interview. What is that? I've said that in a couple of classes, and I am very, very happy to see that Kyber Jan remembered what that is. Go through your mental checklist. What do I mean by mental checklist? I'll give you an example here. So what does that mean, go through your mental checklist before you sit down with that examiner? What am I talking about? So Kyber, you probably have a good idea here. What am I talking about? What does that mean, go through your mental checklist? And every student should do this, no matter if you're a band 5, a band 8, a band 9, everybody should do this. So Sevgi says, keep in mind, remember to use fillers, give examples and answers. Tina says, I don't know what that is. Well, Tina, this is going to be some great advice for you for when you're preparing for your IELTS, okay? A mental checklist is not going to be the same for every student. In fact, it will be unique for every student, okay? So the mental checklist, let me just define it first before I give an example. The mental checklist is a list of 5 to 6 items that you especially need to pay attention to in your speaking. Okay? So this can be different, and this is usually different for each student. Just a second. I'm not sure why my camera cut out there, but I'll get it back. You get a quick peek at my daughter there. All right. So the mental checklist is basically your weaknesses that you forget about when you're doing the speaking. Okay? So it's different for different students because the weaknesses can be different and usually are different for different students. So some students forget to include examples. Some students forget to use quantitative language. Some students use the word you, and things too much or something, and so on. Some students forget to be specific. Some students just keep talking and go off topic. So in those 3 months when you're getting ready, or 1 month, when you're getting ready for your IELTS speaking interview, you need to identify your weaknesses, focus on improving those, and 5 minutes before you go into the exam, you need to go through those step by step. Okay? All right? So, again, it's going to be unique, and you shouldn't have more than 5 or 6, all right? Realistically, you should only have about 5 or 6. Don't make a list of 10 or 20 because it's unlikely that you will pay attention to all of those. So an example of a mental checklist would be like, use quantitative language as well as qualitative. Okay? That might be my number 1. Okay? Maybe, what could I have for another one? So give me some ideas, students. What are some points that can really help your band score go up, and students often forget them? Give real-life examples to support your explanations, right? Kyber says use conjunctions. Kyber, I would say conjunctions is okay, but students usually do use coordinating and subordinating conjunctions. However, students often forget to use correlative conjunctions, right? So give real-life examples to support explanations using like, as, just. Okay, so try to be specific. All right? Absolutely. Use correlative conjunctions as well as others, right? Yeah, so using not only but also, either or, it's a really good idea. Those help you to bump up your score. Vasil, if you have a question, if you're not sure of what I'm saying here, just let me know, okay? Sue says, don't repeat the same words. Yeah, absolutely. So try to paraphrase as much as possible. Use questions and paraphrase. Reflect the grammar. This is a very good one. Okay, so if the question is present perfect, you should make sure that your answer is present perfect. Okay, so reflect the grammar of questions. So here's 5 points. And again, remember, this is just my mental checklist. You have to identify what your mental checklist is. Bring that with you on a piece of paper during exam day. Okay? So again, this is usually unique for each student. Figure out, again, remember students, repeat me as I'm saying these sentences. So figure out your mental checklist, write it down, and bring it with you to the exam. Look at it. Look at it. 5 minutes before your interview. Okay? Just that one kind of strategy or trick or tip or whatever you want to call it can absolutely make the difference of band 0.5 or band 1. Okay? So keep that in mind, all right? Okay, students, let's get into some speaking. So that's the mental checklist. Any questions about the mental checklist before I get into our examples? So does anybody have any, if you have a question, maybe another student is also thinking of the same, and certainly many students will be curious to have the answers, so don't be shy. So Tina says, I couldn't understand the question when the examiner asks me, what should I do for this weakness? Okay, Tina, that's really good. So you can ask for clarity. Hopefully you're not doing that for every question. But you can use phrases like this if you feel that you didn't quite grasp the question. So you can use phrases like, just to be on the same page. It's a great one to repeat, students. Just to be on the same page, you are asking me, and let's take this question here from the icebreaker, what did you do this morning? You are asking me what I did earlier this day before noon. And then the examiner will either repeat the question, which will give you an idea of yes it is or no it's not, or they might just go to the next question, which means it's absolutely not what they're asking you. But you can ask for clarity, Tina. It's okay to say, so what you're asking me, okay? And it's okay to ask for a repetition. You can also say this, okay? I'm sorry, I spaced out because I'm a bit nervous and I didn't catch the question, the complete question. May I ask you to repeat it? Okay, so you can say something like that. Really nice, fluent sentence to get some repetition. It happens. I've seen students kind of space out because they're so nervous. And I realize that, yeah, I think they can get this question. They're just so nervous that they're not focusing. They're spacing out, okay? So you can ask for a repeat as well, like this, okay? Repeat these two after me again, students. So just to be on the same page, you're asking me what I did earlier this day before noon. And this part is just the question. It can be anything. I'm sorry, I spaced out because I'm a bit nervous and I didn't catch the complete question. May I ask you to repeat it? Okay, so you can do that. Now, Tina, another important answer to your question is if you really don't get the question. So if it's a part 3 question and you're like, I have no idea, right? Like I can't figure out 90% of what this guy or this girl just asked me. Don't waste your time trying to give some ridiculous answer. Just ask to move to the next question. Don't do that more than once, maybe twice. But you can say, I don't get that question. Can you please just ask me the next one? Okay, don't waste that precious time giving weird answers because they will just drop your score. Okay, so you'll lose less marks by asking to go to the next question and hopefully answering that one clearly. Okay, so if you really don't get it, ask to move to the next one. You'll lose less points than if you just give some absolutely ridiculous answer. Yeah, Pachu, absolutely. Your score will drop. Your comprehension score will drop if you keep asking them to go to the next question. But it's still better than giving some really weird answer where your comprehension score will absolutely go down. Plus, you waste valuable time that you could have for another question, which could raise your score. Okay. Vasil, again, just to reiterate what I'm saying, it's much better to go to the next question than to say something off topic. Okay? Off-topic answers drop your score very rapidly. Okay? So asked to move to the next one. Okay? Do this only once or twice, so you should, practice your speaking. Hopefully you don't have to do it even once, but if you need to. Okay? So So it's still better to do that because you will lose marks for not answering that question, but you can gain marks for answering the next question. I hope that makes sense. Okay? So you can say, I'm sorry, I really don't get what you're asking with this question. Would you mind moving on to the next one? Again, students, repeat these valuable sentences after me. I'm sorry, I really don't get what you're asking with this question. Would you mind moving to the next one? Okay, good. If you have more questions, remember, you can send me an email to my email address, and I will gladly answer any other questions that you may have, okay? There we are. You're in the examination room. You will be greeted by either a man or a woman, most likely a native speaker, although it could be just a very, very, very high level, maybe a bilingual user of the English language. They'll ask you to take your seat. Then they'll ask you for your passport. So they'll say, may I see your passport or another piece of identification? What should you say? Okay, so even before what is your full name, because they will match that to your passport, may I see your passport or other national ID? And then what can you respond to that? What can you say? What is a nice way to answer that? Yes, sure, here you are. Okay, Vasil, that's nice and natural. Yes, sure, here you are. The yes is good to add in there. So yes, sure, here you are. Or here you go. Or you could say, certainly, here it is. Please take a look. Okay, so those are some good ways to do it. Yes, of course. Here you are. Begzod. That's great as well. Khyber, also polite, most certainly. Here you are. Yeah, sure is a little bit more slangish. Most certainly. Here you are is a little bit more polite, just so you have an idea there. And then they will ask for your full name and a nickname if you don't give it. Okay. So they'll say, what is your full name? You'll notice they'll look at the passport carefully and look at your face to make sure that you're not a doppelganger. Doppelganger is a person who looks like you. Okay, so don't, and it happens. People hire doppelgangers to sit the IELTS for them. So they'll look carefully. And then Prashil will say, my name is Prashil Balusu. It's quite simple, Brashil, which is okay. Just make sure you say what they should call you. So you should say, please just call me Brashil, right? Tina, that's a nice answer. My first name is Tina. My last name is Tagipur. Please just call me by my nickname, Titi. Okay, sure. Absolutely. Begzod says, my surname is Suyanov. It's the British way to say it. My surname is Suyanov. And my given name is Begzod. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, Begzod. If I'm not, let me know. Begzod, please just call me Begzod. All right, that's a good way to do it. And I see some other ones coming up there. That's great. Munchie, Tapa says, my name is Mana Shavi. Please call me Munchie. Okay, that works good. All right. And then they'll ask you a couple questions to try to make you feel comfortable, relaxed. They know that you're nervous. So they'll follow it up. And these icebreaker questions can be just about anything. Usually they're the kinds of questions that you hear on the first day of a beginner English class, okay? So that's usually what it is. What did you do this morning? Now, of course, they're already assessing your responses, so pay attention to the tense. Here it's did, it's past tense. Thanks, Begzod. Make sure to give a nice, complete answer. So don't just say something really simple. Use the question like this morning or earlier today, okay? So start it off with that time expression. If you hear a time expression in the question, include time expression to start your sentence, all right? So what is a good way to answer this? What did you do this morning? Give me some answers, students. I'll type up my answer while you're doing that. All right, little happy face. Okay, so Sue 41210 says, I woke up before dawn and did some spiritual yoga and then recited some powerful but inspiring lines from my favorite book and then had some breakfast at 7 a.m. Sue, that's good. Just one correction there with your coordinating conjunction. Instead of the but, you should use and because it's not a contrast. So I recited some powerful and inspiring lines from my favorite book, okay? Otherwise, it's good, Sue. Kyber says, I woke up early in the morning and did a prayer. Not did a prayer, Kyber, it's prayed, because praying is a verb. So, Kyber, it goes like this. I woke up early in the morning around 6 a.m. and prayed for about 10 minutes. Before preparing myself for this exam. That's a little bit better, Kyber, to do it that way, okay? Careful. Pray is a verb, so you're not doing a prayer. You can say a prayer, or you are praying, okay? Begzod says, today I woke up early and went for a run around 6 a.m. Then I had a great breakfast, fruit, and some salad. So I have enough energy for this interview. Good. All right, great, students. Here's my response. Repeat after me. Earlier today, I had a healthy breakfast. I ate an orange, a piece of toast, and some bacon. Then I reviewed my notes for the speaking exam so I would feel not only confident, but hopefully also get a high score. Just going to do a couple of corrections here to make sure you don't get confused. All right, good. So we're off to a good start. Notice the responses here, students. We're using correlative conjunctions, not only, but also. We're using good visual language, piece of toast. We're using good grammar, ate breakfast, had a healthy. Okay, reviewed my notes, so paying attention to that past tense throughout. All right, some good responses by the students there as well. Okay, and then they'll follow it up with another question like, what will you do in the evening? Usually they'll ask you one or two of these icebreaker questions, so just get ready for that. So here's the next one. What will you do in the evening? What will you do in the evening? Give me a good answer for this one, students. What will you do in the evening? I'll write down my answer while you're thinking of yours, and then we'll compare. Okay, you don't need to stretch these answers too long. These are just the icebreakers, so you can keep them sweet and short as well. Just make sure that they're complete answers, okay? Repeat after me. After this exam, I will return home, and in the evening, I plan to just sit back and relax with my favorite book or TV show, okay? All right, now I see some of those comments flying through the chat with some good-looking answers. Here we go. Let's see. Kyber says, well, I really would like to go to the riverbank because it helps me to relax, keep my mind fresh after a long day of studying and doing this exam. Kyber, you have some good ideas. Just be really careful with your grammar, okay? I had to change it quite a bit for it to be accurate. Sevgi says, actually, for the evening, I didn't plan anything special, but what I want to do is certainly get some relaxation in. Get in some rest, Sevgi. I certainly want to get in some rest because I have been studying for this exam for the last 5 months and I feel exhausted. Okay, good. All right. Simran Randhawa. Okay, that's a different one. Let me just keep going down here. Onisim, I will probably do some kind of a sport with my friends or watch a movie so I can loosen up. Onisim, it's not loosen off, it's loosen up. Okay, loosen off is really strange. So I will probably do some sport with my friends and watch a movie so I can loosen up. Good job, Onisim, using the future participle will. That's important. Okay. Violetta says, I'm going to go to my friends for dinner. We have reserved a table at a nice sushi restaurant. Violetta, you have to fix that a little bit. So it's either I'm going to go with my friend for dinner. We have reservations at a nice sushi restaurant, or I'm going to go with my friend for dinner. We have reserved a table in a nice sushi restaurant. Keep that in mind, Violetta. Otherwise, it's a bit awkward, okay? All right, good job, students. So then the examiner will say, now we will continue with part one. I will ask you some more questions on a general topic. Let's get into it. First one, what helps you feel happy? What helps you feel happy? Okay, let's talk about feelings. So you're talking about feelings, okay, your mood, happy, sad, excited. So think about all those words. And the first question comes at you. The examiner says, what helps you feel happy? So think about your answer. Even though it's of the first question, you don't have to rush. You can say, well, just give me a moment to think about that. Keep it simple. Think about what 9 out of 10 people will say, okay? You don't have to think about the truth. Think about what 9 out of 10 people would say. What helps people feel happy? Okay? So again, this can be a really useful strategy or tip, is think of what 9 of 10 people may respond. Keep it simple and visualize. What helps you feel happy? It's general, simple present tense. All right? I will write this up, and then we'll compare answers. Okay. Prashil says, I'm a person who always tries to be happy irrespective of the situation I'm in. However, spending time with my family is something which makes me feel great. Okay, instead of pleasant, Prashil, I would use the word great. Otherwise, it's a beautiful response, Prashil. It's a really nice, natural, smooth-flowing response. It's great. Okay. Bhupinder says, I feel elevated when I help a person in need. Like the other day, there was a 5-year-old lost in the shopping mall. I helped him find his parents. It made me feel fantastic. Bhupinder, that was good. Just add in a nice smooth flowing example like I just gave you, and it'll definitely bump your score that much higher. Okay? Rohini Adhikari says, well, when I help other people, it makes me feel happy. For instance, on Saturdays, I volunteer at a soup kitchen, and that elevates my mood for the rest of the week. All right, that's good. You'll notice, students, that I'm jumping some of yours. That's because I paid attention to your previous responses. I'm trying to catch different people for different questions. Here's one of mine, of course, thinking of movies or comedies. That helps people to feel happy. While certainly I feel happy when I watch a comedy or an inspiring movie, like the other day I saw A Dog's Life, and although it's heart-wrenching, it elevated my mood. Okay? Heart-wrenching means that it's kind of something sad as well, or makes you very emotional. Okay? All right. So good answers. All right? Some good, nice answers for that one. Let's go to the next question. Let's get one more in there. How often do you feel stressed? Okay. How often do you feel stressed? Give me a nice answer for this one. I'm going to do the same. I'll type it up, and then we'll compare. Okay. All right. Let's see what you've put up there. Onisim says, like any other student, I'm stressed, maybe during this session. However, it's not something which happens frequently. Only seem very nice. I like how you cleverly, just like me, use the current situation to give a quality answer and weaved in a nice adjective clause with a subordinating conjunction. So however and then which happens. So very good. Good job, Onisim. That's how you get those high IELTS band scores, all right? Bhupinder Singh, it's also a good way to start. Generally, I do not feel stressed, but in some situations, I do get nervous, like when I'm sitting in an exam such as this one. Bhupinder, try not to repeat the word stress, okay? So find a different word for the second one, just like I did, using the word nervous, okay? Begzad says, when I'm usually around new people, I feel myself a bit stressed and lose ideas or what I'm going to say, as I'm not very social. Okay, Begzad, it's good. A good piece of lexical resource for your answer, Begzad, would be an introvert. When I'm around new people, I feel a bit stressed and lose my thoughts. I get lost for words as I'm an introvert. I've been like this since my childhood. Okay, so introvert is a nice one. Extrovert is someone who's very outgoing, very social. Introvert is someone who likes to be more with their own thoughts, focusing on their individual actions. Okay. All right, students, here's my response. So I would say that I feel at least a bit of stress each day. However, I rarely feel extremely stressed, only on days when I have a big exam like this one or an unexpected circumstance comes about, such as losing my wallet last year. Now, just like I told our student there, let's not repeat the word stress. Let's replace it with nervous. Okay? So I'll put my money where my mouth is and fix that mistake. Okay, students, and then part one continues on. The questions get a little bit more and more difficult with each one. Pay attention to the grammar. Where do you go if you feel sad? If you could do an activity to feel excited, what would you do? Have you ever felt terribly frightened? How did you get over it? I'll give you these 3 questions for homework. Record them on your phone, send them to my email as an MP3, and I will tell you how you did, okay? What kind of a band score you could expect for that. My email address all the way at the top here is adrian@gieltshelp.com. Send them there. Again, check out our websites. There's lots and lots of opportunities for speaking, as well as for the other sections of the exam. Just click that big red button to join, aehelp.com. This blue background for academic IELTS. For general IELTS, please go to this website with the green background at gieltshelp.com. Click that big red button to join there. That's it for today, ladies and gents. Some nice participation. I'm very impressed by how far many of you have come and the way that you express yourself. So good for you. Keep up the practice. In 30 minutes, I will be teaching academic IELTS reading on our Academic English Help channel. So if you're an academic student, check us out there in 30 minutes. Bye for now. Make sure to practice. Establish that English speaking hour in your family. It will help everyone. It will be a huge payoff, just like going to the gym or going for runs. Much love to all of you, and I will see you tomorrow. I believe it will be some general reading practice. Bye for now, everyone.